Hello, everyone. Let's go one more time with the introduction of this brand new World of Darkness campaign, this Hunter the Vigil game, set not in any of the previous cities of our previous World of Darkness games, but in fact in the city of Atlanta.
Be clear, OBS crashed. That's why we got cut off last time.
Yeah, so.
I thought you were about to say it crashed again.
No, it didn't crash. It hadn't crashed again. I'm keeping an eye on it. It might crash again, and I will cuss it out if it does, but
not yet. So, beginning where we had intended to begin, in a shadowed room in an undisclosed location, with a group of individuals all wreathed in shadow, but with a single light illuminating a central table with a series of documents for reviewing and understanding. This group of this council of individuals slowly milling about as one of them asks what appears to be a presenter. So is this the full document? Aye, that would be correct. This is everything we know about the situation that happened in Atlanta. Everything that we know of, all of our information at the very least. The full situation, we'll likely never know everything, but we do have at least some ideas. The eggheads in the labs like to call the cause of the event the Terminus tendency, and it sure as hell brought some shite down to that place. Start from the beginning, then. All right, well, probably as tumultuous a place as anywhere in the story, but we'll go ahead and pick up with the night and the events that happened around the organization of the group that handled most of that event. We'll start with the night of the mission briefing. And we pick up at a lone, quiet Waffle House in the middle of the night at the intersection of Highway 20 and Highway 124 to the northeast of Atlanta. The lights faintly buzz, just barely audible, a white noise that you sort of slowly fade out as the group of you sit at one of the wide, broad, long table booths designed to hold entire parties as you sit over a variety of different food that has all been ordered for you. Nina, you know very well that the proprietors of this establishment are friends of the union, and so you need privacy for this meeting, and you will have it. The entire Waffle House has sort of cleared out by this point, and in fact, one of the workers turns the sign from open to closed as you sit and have your meal. As Jonas sort of mulls over his hash browns, he glances to the group of you. Why don't you go ahead and describe yourselves for the audience? Starting with the Mulcahy brothers, let's say.
Did you just did he just say that, or did you?
No, I said that.
Because the way that sounded.
I know. I know. I'm saying this.
breaking the fourth wall already. Sean Mulcahy sits there in a button-down white shirt that is very much unbuttoned, with the white band of a priestly collar very sort of visible around his throat, as if he's forgotten that it's there. Wearing a sort of a sturdy, well put together vest and pants and boots. With a sort of a duster coat just sort of shrugged off behind him as he's sitting there with shoulder-length blonde hair that's sort of swept back, the faintest bit of 5 o'clock shadow being faint mainly because it's blonde, which makes it harder to see against his skin, which is pale, blue eyes, and has on his hip, because Georgia is an open carry is a state where you can carry openly. On his hip is this massive revolver-esque shotgun called a Thunder 5. I can't remember if it's a shotgun in the shape of a revolver or a revolver in the shape of a shotgun, but it's one of those two combinations. and just sort of sitting there eating eggs with a fork, waiting for someone else to talk because he's eating.
You're muted, Jack.
His brother Eamon is seated to his left, wearing a bomber jacket, still around his body because he gets cold very easily. Reddish hair, more than a 5 o'clock shadow, probably about 4 days growth on his face, and similar fair skin, eyes gray. Eamon is making his way through his hash browns as well, and just eyes constantly darting side to side, trying to keep vision on every corner of this restaurant as best he can. He occasionally takes a drink from a hip flask, but is mostly focused on the coffee, at least as far as is socially appropriate.
And what does Nina look like?
I was literally typing in chat. Go to somebody else. I have something to post.
Okay, cool. And what does what does Astrid look like then?
Astrid is slouched down in the booth with her feet propped up on the table. She has about elbow length jet black hair with blue eyes. She's wearing a white tank top with a black leather jacket, and she has you can make out the tattoo on her knuckles. She has a few other tattoos under the jacket.
And what do the tattoos look like?
She has one on her arm that looks like a revolver. She has another going up her left arm that looks like a snake with a skull in the middle of it.
And then on her knuckles?
On her knuckles, I'm trying to remember.
Elu was love and hate.
Yeah.
Is that just like giant stylized letters, love and hate across both knuckles?
Yes.
Or
Yeah.
And then Paul, what do you look like?
Paul is in his mid-40s. He has a receding hairline, mostly brownish hair, a little bit of gray running through it. He has a neatly trimmed beard and is dressed. If he was younger and hipper looking, you would assume that he was a lingering adherent to normcore. But as it is, he just looks like somebody's dad. He's got a collared shirt, a blue blazer that looks like it's been pretty comfortably worn for a while, slacks and loafers. He's sitting there and tucking into some waffles because the place is called Waffle House, so should probably order what's on the sign, and enjoying a cup of hot tea. The one thing that would stand out, he has are his eyes. His left eye is sort of a dark, unremarkable blue, but the entirety of his right eye, right now, often he'll wear a contact lens to cover it, but right now it's not covered, and it is a otherwise unmarked orb of, it looks like mother of pearl, sort of a silvery orb with a rainbow sheen to it.
And you good, Jeremy, or you need
Yeah,
a little
go for it.
time?
Yeah.
All right. So Nina,
So Nina is youngish, mid-20s, something like that. Fairly angular features, dark hair with sort of a blonde streak in it. That'll change over time as she has different moods and changes. She's kind of known in her public persona for adopting very different looks regularly. Fairly heavy eyeshadow, lipstick, the like. Just sort of leaning back in her chair. She's wearing just fairly simple pair of torn jeans, a T-shirt that lists off the 9 satanic statements from the Satanic Bible from LaVey. A leather jacket over that. She hasn't really eaten much. She's mostly just picking a little bit, doing a lot of smoking, fair amount of drinking, and keeping an eye on everybody.
And the one other person sitting at your table with you is a tall, sort of slender man, pale of skin, with a a cigarette that is sort of pushed off to one side of the mouth as he's eating, but still lit and in his mouth. Sort of chewing with the other half of his mouth while he's smoking at the same time, as if the cigarette is just forbidden to leave. But with his sort of black hair sort of reaching down around his shoulders, in just sort of curtaining around, wearing what seems like what looks like originally would have been a very professional suit, but looks like it has been used for very physical activity for a very long time. So it's got all the signs of wear and tear and seen the road a lot. Like you would almost equate this suit to like biker leathers in that they have seen the road for a long time. With a pair of black leather gloves that are fingerless and fully expose the knuckles. Which reveals the tail end of what the tattoo of a revolver that extends across his right hand and up his right two index finger, his index and middle finger, with the barrel reaching up the two fingers.
If he had two index fingers on his right hand, there'd be more wrong with him than just the tattoos.
Yes. Which also have the H and A of hate on that right hand with love on the opposite hand as well. Very similar to Astrid. And he has a pair of shades that are not on right now because it's the middle of the night. Mr. Sunglasses at night, no. He has them sitting on the table in front of him. His eyes are sort of a gunmetal, piercing blue. As he sort of stops eating his hash browns for a minute, pulls a cigarette, holds it there for a second, exhales. Well, we got almost all of you here. There's one more person who'll be helping us out for a while, but they were a little busy and I've got them gathering information anyway, so you'll meet him at a later date. But most of us are here, so we might as well introduce each other. Everyone, these are the Mulcahy brothers. Sean, Eamon.
I'm Sean, he's Eamon.
Two of the finest soldiers the Vatican has ever produced. And they'll be serving, for the most part, as relative fire support, close combat specialists. They'll be doing a lot of the fighting. They'll be getting themselves stuck in, so those of you who don't want to be in the middle of the fight don't have to get cut up.
To be clear,
I'm sorry.
he's close combat, I'm support.
I'm sorry. Did someone say the V word?
Yes. The Vatican.
Oh, thought she was
fuck.
talking about virginity.
Oh no, I never use that word.
Fair play to you then.
Also doesn't apply. Also, if any of you ever want confession, we do have a booth open. I say, thumbing the collar on my thumb.
And the charming woman that has introduced herself just now is Nina.
I'm Nina.
Her and her companions of the Union have been so kind as to lend us the use of this Waffle House to have a meeting. She is our specialist with knowing people. She's the one who will be getting you most of your information from contact. She's the one who you'll probably want to rely on as far as finding someone who knows what you need to know.
Now, is that knowing with a capital K, knowing with a lowercase k, or knowing in the biblical sense?
Nina?
Pick option D, Bob. All of the above.
Sounds good to me.
And then we have our infiltration specialist, Mr. Paul Phillips. You like to be called Spanner, sir?
He'll wipe off his mouth with a napkin and put it down. He says, "Only when we're only when we're in a situation. I'm sorry, I'm doing the Irish accent.
We're the
We call him
worst.
Hook, line, and sinker.
Only when we're in the field, it might be. I can't break it.
If you need to make that your accent, you're welcome to.
No, he says, Paul Phillips, that'll do just fine among friends. In a field, someplace where people might have a bit of a memory when they shouldn't, I might prefer Spanner or Jack or Alex or whatever comes to mind. But here among all of us, Paul's just fine. Mr. Phillips, if you're formal, but no need for that.
And then one of the students that I brought into the Knights of St. Adrian myself, we have Astrid. She is one of the toughest as they come. If you need someone who can stand with you in a fight and can take a hit, she'll be there for you.
Reckon she'll be up on the front lines with me then.
I don't think she'd rather be anywhere else. Am I wrong?
You're right, as always.
Most of you know me.
We have so many people willing to run right into the face of danger.
Again, he's close up. I'm support.
Oh, good.
As I take your accent.
The accent game is going to be great until we get used to this.
As I said, he's close up. I'm support.
Still on it, dude.
Yep.
Still on it.
Fucking shake it.
100%. Like more so than the first time.
Can't fucking shake it.
I'm support.
I'm support. I'm support. I'll just go with the fucking Lucky Charms voice, all right?
Oh, sha.
It's going to be great until you get your characters down.
Say goodbye to me, Lucky Charms. All right.
Most of you know me, at least by reputation. I've introduced myself to all of you. My name is Jonas, and honestly, the extent of my skills mostly went into gathering all of you. I am useful in a variety of pursuits, but I think most of you will be taking the lead in most situations.
You're kind enough to point out that I was right in the middle of a wizard's den, so I appreciate that.
Well, sometimes we all find ourselves in situations we weren't expecting.
Is that what happened to your blinker there, sir?
No, this is actually what got me into the game to begin with. Used to run less interesting artifacts, and then this was, and he will reach up and tap the eyeball and makes a very faint but audible ding.
Eamon kind of winces at that.
Hot.
This was part of a shipment that delivery didn't go quite as planned, and found I took home more payment from the job than I'd intended. But no, don't worry. When we're out in the field, I'll cover it up.
And our last remaining member will be Drew, and he is ideally best at gathering information in terms of the academic and the supernatural. He is a knowledgeable soul and a unique soul. I know that.
You keep stressing the word soul.
Yeah,
Well.
that was very noticeable.
Well, you all come from a variety of different backgrounds. A number of different organizations call you home. Well,
I think you got
How
that
many-
backwards. We call that number of organizations home.
Yeah, but they might call us home too. Once in a while, we have to get out into Italy and put in the reports to the Monsignor and whatnot.
I
And
mean, sure, that's fair. That's fair.
how many of you are familiar with the 666?
Oh, I number the beast. Sorry, what?
How many of us are familiar with the
You can roll me intelligence and occult if you want to.
I have a demon's specialty. Does that count?
Yes.
I think Paul hears the number in general and looks a little bit nervously at the two wearing the collars.
Oh, whoops.
I'm the only one wearing a collar.
Oh, okay.
0 successes.
4 successes.
What?
Sean, you weren't paying attention when anyone talking about that, if they ever did. Nina, The only name of 666 that you know of to associate with hunters is an organization called the Lucifuge. They're wide-spanning, but weird, and they're very secretive. They like to keep to themselves. They have some kind of association with demons. Something about Satan's children. You've heard rumors. Eamon, having been
that sounds so unlike anything that Nina would be interested in.
you know,
Astrid got a 2 if it matters. Roll 20.
Astrid, you know that the 666 are the Lucifuge. There are 666 of them, always. They are the children of Satan, according to them. There are only ever 666 of them. You don't know why or how.
All right.
Eamon, as the one who was paying attention when the Vatican briefed you on potential allies and potential enemies among the various people of the world, you were at one point informed about the Lucifuge, who are the 666 descendants of Satan. Each of them has a direct bloodline to the Lord of Devils himself, as muddled as it might be, and whenever one dies, a new one joins, and whenever a new one joins, one dies. There are only ever 666 members, no more, no less. They wield powers delineating from their bloodline and specialize themselves in rooting out demons and other unholy beasts.
All right. So we've got one of the old Scratch's children coming along with us. Well, as long as they keep to themselves, make sure they don't tip too far into the dark end of the pool, I think we'll be all right.
Oh, I think that's the last thing you'll have to worry about from Drew.
I lean over to Paul. Remind me to bring popcorn.
He smiles and nods and says, "I'll bring the drinks." And
I'll bring those too. But yeah.
He sort of holds his teacup over towards you for to clink if you have anything to drink.
Yep.
I continue to eat my eggs.
But now that introductions are mostly out of the way, probably best to get down to business. Well, you've all got a bit of an inkling of what's been going on in Atlanta. You've probably all seen a little bit of it. But to reiterate, for full disclosure so that everyone's on the same page, supernatural activity is on a major upswing around here. Werewolves, vampires, demons, undead, you name it. Everyone's coming to Atlanta for some reason. And we do mean everyone. Not just the big boys, not just those who are dangerous, powerful, but the scraps are flowing in too. We're getting a whole bunch of the garbage along with the really dangerous things. I've seen more fledgling vampires that could barely kill a man with their bare hands in the past 3 weeks than I've seen in the past 2 years outside of Atlanta. And I am uncertain as to what the cause is, what's bringing all of them here. But I think, just as you, am very concerned about the sheer numbers.
It is getting crowded.
Well, we do know something from our friend in the van. I say, thumbing over the shoulder to since everyone else rode here on motorcycles, what will be the only large vehicle in the parking lot, a large sort of white panel church van that has Our Lady of Lourdes and a stylized image of the Virgin Mary on the side.
It's extremely tacky.
It is the tackiest. Friend out in the van said something about a colonel sending people in here after something called the Terminus tendency.
I'm sorry. Wait a minute, Seamus. You have a friend in the van.
Sean, not Seamus. Thank you for
close enough. You have a friend in the
racist as
van
hell.
who isn't here, who isn't in here.
Oh,
Well,
yeah.
friend is a friend, pet, prisoner.
His name is Craig. He likes to bite.
And we've got a bit of wood stuck in his sternum to keep
Fair
him from
enough.
squirming around too much.
Paul looks back and
All
forth.
was made clear.
Says, "Look, just to be clear, I took a cab here. I saw that out in the yard. I figured somebody was selling marijuana outside. That's your van."
It's,
Hi, that's it.
hey, there's a church van.
And you have a staked vampire in it.
Hi.
Fantastic.
Don't worry, he's all trussed up, handcuffed, tied down, and then we wrapped him in garbage bags to keep him from, getting any.
And just in case, there's a flammable bottle of liquor right above his head in case he gets frisky.
You take his fangs out. Are they still in there?
I mean, he wanted to.
I was going to make a necklace out of him, like the gobshites what go on safari do, but we got waylaid, distracted.
You
a bit.
generally want to be careful about that because if you're trying to get information from them afterward, they don't always speak as clear as they could, and miscommunication causes more hunter deaths.
Also, if they don't get any blood whatsoever, eventually your prisoner's just going to shrivel up.
No, but you could take one. Look, just when you finish with it, if you don't mind, there is a market for them. And Paul will nod over towards Nina and say, like she mentioned, there's a whole lot of wankers that like to wear them as necklaces. And you wouldn't.
I didn't say that.
That was Eamon.
Yeah, he said that. I think that's fucked up.
Like Amy just said. Well, I think it's fucked up too, but people will pay for it.
I mean, could be a good way to give some money to the church donation fund.
Of course.
People pay a lot of money for a lot of fucked up shiting.
Right. And
Yes.
and a lot of those things don't
And
involve
we punish
killing something
those
horrible.
people.
Yeah, right. But this actually involves getting rid of a monster, and then you get a little money
I wonder if there's
beside.
any of that. I wonder if there's any teeth left at the scene from the last bugger.
No, I'm quite certain of that one.
Gonna make some money.
All right, but petty income and you know
we're getting off.
per diems being the case. We've got so we have a person of interest, what goes by name of the Colonel,
Right.
and apparently everyone's coming in because he's flouting about some sort of a legend or rumor or other that there's something in the city that will make all your dreams come true. If
Really?
you're a monster.
Right.
I don't know if that was ever specified. I think it was just all your dreams come true. Specifically two monsters, which may or may not be a qualifier, but
As you become British again.
yeah, I know, it just keeps fluctuating. I can't hold it.
That tracks with what I've heard. There's, like you said, there's a lot of people coming to the area. I mean, us included, of course, but lots of less savory sorts, I hope. But flocking to it like flies to a corpse. I mean, there's certainly something here that's drawing everyone in.
Less savory sorts, like Episcopalians.
Paul grins and says, well, like you said, maybe we'll save the comparative religion for later.
Fair enough then, lad.
The question then becomes, where do we start? And like I said, this is where my expertise begins to fail. I managed to get you all together, but my investigative skills are only what gets me by myself.
Well, I think we're a bit further afield in terms of our origins. What about you, local ladies? Ever heard of anybody called the Colonel?
I did.
Assume the answer is no.
Sanders.
But
I did do some checking.
You did some chicken? What?
Checking.
No. Right, chicken.
William, I'm going to assume the answer is no on
No,
that. Give me a roll to know otherwise.
The name the Colonel is too vague for you to really have an association with anything other than KFC.
Right.
I'm glad to hear that.
And, you know, if it was 100 years ago, about 75 Civil War veterans in a given square mile radius.
Legit. Yeah, it's a no. Not anyone I'm familiar with, anyway.
I mean,
Is it worth a roll, William? Or
Actually, as
okay.
Aegis Kaidoru specifically.
All right, great.
You've been places. You've been all over this world.
I mean, isn't there that there mountain
Roll me intelligence and occult.
has a bunch of like army folk on it? I think that has anything to do with it.
Well, I bet those are like stone carvings and statues in it.
What if it was a stone carving? Because it's a vampire, right? What if it's a stone carving of the vampire?
Oh, well, that'd be some fucked up shite.
Okay.
Right enough.
It's not rolling. I wonder if it's not because it's popped out.
Should still roll just fine.
It might. Roll20 is having some connectivity issues, so it might be.
Let me just reload.
Yeah.
Oh, you know what? Nope. It was me being stupid because I hadn't put in the modifier because that was showing up in the regular roll.
Oh yeah, that'll show up in the regular window. Yep.
All right, I'm gonna stop being fancy. I'm just gonna roll in the window as is. Let's see. No modifier, right?
Yep, no modifier, just your intelligence and occult.
Okay. One success.
So, you don't know anyone in particular named the Colonel, but you do know that symbols of rank don't mean as much to a vampire in their afterlife, which means that if a vampire specifically, which is what you can only assume based on their conversation about the vampire they've got staked up, if a vampire is still going by a rank like the Colonel, it must have either been something very important to him in his life, or is a rank that is relevant to his life as a vampire.
Okay.
Which means that either he was some important military figure in his life, or he's part of some kind of vampire military. You're not certain which one scares you more.
All right.
I mean, there's Elvis's manager.
Well, we solved it.
I don't know. Maybe he's a vampire. It would explain a lot.
I mean, I will convey that to everybody. Either it's something heavily tied up in his identity before he was turned, or it's something that's important to him now. So there's some sort of organization that's handing out ranks and shoulder stripes to vampires.
Or he's very old.
Well, I'm pretty sure they still have colonels these days. He could have just been very invested.
That would be kind of funny. Just, you know, having a as I completely lose any sign of whatever accent I was doing. Jack, talk for a minute so I can get my accent back.
Well, I mean, we can always poke around, see if we can shake the bushes a bit, as they say over this side. Try and get a little more information from, I don't know, some of you folks must know some people around here that are worth keeping their ears to the ground.
Yeah, I know some people I can talk to.
Anybody have anything else other than the Colonel that we might be bringing to the table?
The one bit of information that I've got that Drew had was there was a changeling, one of the skinwalkers, those that walk from the other worlds, said that she was here with an individual by the name of Shakes, who was sort of helping out those who were around here.
Does that name
Colonel Shakes?
I feel
So we've got two. What we've got here is two various. As I go to Scottish, why not?
I mean,
I'm gonna have to practice to lock down that accent apparently because it's just wavering constantly. What we've got is two people with monikers that don't mean anything right now that we need to come up with a meeting for.
Well, hold on just a second. I can ask every single character that apparently is from Atlanta if it's somebody I know, or you can let me know.
Yeah. Shakes is something a little bit more local, so you can go ahead and roll me intelligence occult or intelligence
Okay.
streetwise, whichever's better.
Streetwise is actually better.
Get the accent down. I can get the accent down when I don't have
Two.
someone going on with a
Two successes.
fucking accent in my ear.
So, Shakes is a name that sort of pops up every now and then. It's a moniker, obviously,
Right.
but it's associated with a woman that you never met her personally.
Have I bought drugs from her people?
Probably not.
Okay.
But she's elusive, for one. None of the hunters who have tried to corner her have been able to lock her down. But she's known to be a changeling among the Union, but also she's known to not be so dangerous by comparison to other monsters. She tends to be around to help other changelings get their bearings. She's sort of a mentor figure to those who end up lost in this place based on what you can understand of changelings. She's hard to find, but if you can prove that you're not a threat to her, you might be able to get into a conversation with her.
All right. So, knowing all that, I can see what I can find on Shakes. Name sounds vaguely familiar.
Well, aside from that, the obvious starting point would be to see if we can't locate one of the monsters roaming around and get a little bit more information, or figure out how best to interrogate the one that you two have staked up. But that's the only starting point that I've got in mind. So if any of you have a better idea.
I mean, I can think of a couple of ways to interrogate our friend in the van. Do we have a nice little... Is there any place nearby that has a really nice view of the sunrise?
What about that mountain you were talking about?
That's a great idea. We're going to take ourselves just before sunrise, right up the mountain.
Look, I don't have any particular love for vampires, of course, but that you say you want to keep this friend around. I'm not sure if
No, it's fine. We're gonna good cop, bad cop this. And
I have
hopefully,
Well, and it's not exactly like Nipsey here is going to, become a card-carrying member of the team or anything like that. No, he's going to end up dead eventually because, that's where he's supposed to be,
I have a torture suite. You want to have some fun with them?
Good Lord.
As to say, what now?
Oh, yeah, sorry. I suppose I should have mentioned that.
I mean, that would have been useful before now, yes.
I mean, kind of burying the lead there a little bit last, but you definitely make an impression once you do bring it up.
Is there a way we can rig a complicated series of mirrors to take the sun's light from outside into the torture? Just
I
for
think it's
effect?
called opening a window.
I mean, it might have a window, though. Good torture.
Does it have a window?
You want it to have a window.
Sure.
It's got a window.
That'll work.
Paul is looking at Jonas, by the way, like, really?
I mean, I will just point out really quick out of character that windows are not necessarily good for places you want soundproofed when people scream.
No, they're not.
That's why I can be blast shielded.
That said, fair enough.
This is me not having played Vampire for ages
Right.
and not remembering. I don't know if my character would know either. UV light, artificial UV light, does that work?
I believe it has to be the sun specifically. It can't be artificial
I
sunlight.
Yeah.
know that anyway.
So what we're saying is we get ourselves some blackout curtains, hang them in the window, and just tease a little bit of the light, just a little bit, every once in a while. Just get them smoking.
But look, didn't your van have windows?
No.
I mean, it looks like the sort of van that would have windows. No offense.
No, it's specifically windowless. Except it is a
Sorry,
windowless.
I guess,
it's a windowless
mentally,
whitetail van.
Yeah, mentally, I just saw the painting on the outside, and I guess I filled in windows. But all right,
It is. It is a cheap. It's a cheap creeper van that's been
Right.
repainted with a very tacky depiction of the Virgin Mary on the side.
and the name of the church.
Yeah.
Torture suite might be the accurate term for it, but Astrid does have access to a facility that is designed to make interrogations more expedient.
Fuck them.
Okay.
Head that way.
Look at this, our first little group outing.
Well,
absolutely lovely.
I have to ask, is the point of this to actually get information or to get off? Because I'm not sure right now based on certain reactions.
Oh no, we need some information about him. Otherwise, he's
Okay.
completely useless.
All right.
A little bit of both for me.
All right.
With that being said, Paul, we're going to give you the honor of using the channel locks.
No, actually, I have such delicate hands, for lock picking. I appreciate the offer, but I'll leave that to you.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
I finished my food. Push the plate away.
Funny enough, I think I've lost my appetite.
Oh, I'll pass it over then. And
Sure.
and Eamon takes the rest of Paul's food.
I'm really not sure how anyone's supposed to eat all these waffles anyway. He pushes over there.
I mean, to be fair, the waffles are the worst part of the Waffle House menu.
Well, I wish someone had told me that before I came in here.
It's a bit of an experience, especially when, I'm assuming you're from the Isles like we are.
What gave me away?
Your manner of speaking that's the wrong side of the channel.
The fact,
But,
the fact that I keep fucking slipping into your accents what gave it away.
That's Her Royal Majesty's secret plan, you see. We just get out there and we just talk, and eventually we'll turn all of you over there on the Green Isles back to the motherland.
Well,
Fucking working here at least.
I mean, I'll be honest, the waffles are something that I actually do appreciate, but the best part of the menu is honestly the hash browns.
Well, it's certainly not the tea. And he puts that down again.
They only do sweet and unsweet around here. I don't know.
That's because it's not tea. It's just piss that they put sugar in.
All right. Well,
Let's get out of here then before we offend any more of Nina's friends.
I'm sure they already know it.
Much offense.
The staff, by the way, have cleared. Like they're all in the back room cleaning up and not paying any attention to you. I'm not gonna listen to any of this. I'm not being implicated. If the cops come by, I didn't see anyone. We closed up.
Well, and I assume nobody's putting too much stock in what I assume is a bag of like Liptons in
Yeah.
the microwaved water.
Yeah,
Nah.
pretty much. Oh no, they do boil. They do have like kettles that they'll boil, but
Oh, okay.
they don't microwave the water. But they do use Lipton.
Which personally I like, but
Yeah.
I think Paul probably has better taste in tea than I do.
Right,
It's
well,
all right. I'll hook you up when we get back.
You want to come? You want to ride the van then? I say to Paul, who came in a taxi apparently.
Sure. You did say everyone else came on motorcycles.
That would be the case, yeah.
And sure, thanks. I appreciate it.
We'll let you sit up front. That way you don't have to share the back with Nipsey.
It's alright. I got some cleaning. I got some cleaning to do back there, anyways.
Oh, am I driving? Is that it?
Yeah. Well, I mean, unless you want me to drive, in which case,
Give me the fucking keys. Give me the fucking keys.
I can drive if you want.
I think we both have.
Give me the fucking
I
keys.
think
Give
we
me
both have exactly one dot in drive. So
the...
I
I have
toss.
two. Yay.
I toss Eamon the keys, and we head out to the van.
Everyone else gets out to their various motorcycles.
Open up the back of the van, and anyone who's behind it can see that yes, there is a very clearly trash bagged human being or human being shape on the floor. There's also like mechanic vans that have like the corkboard things that have all their tools on them.
Mhm.
There's that, but instead of tools, there is a sniper rifle, a shotgun, a whole bunch of ammunition and weapon maintenance tools.
And then there's like 3 or 4 crates that just have the Sacrament wine logo on them.
Yep.
There's 3 or 4 of those
As well,
that definitely still have contents in.
and then one rack that's got like a machete, a dagger, and then a bunch of stakes.
Yeah. And a gladius. There's a gladius in there too. He didn't bring that into the Waffle House.
Did you bring the kukri in?
Oh yeah. That'll sit in the small of your back. You can actually like walk into a place with that as long as you keep your jacket on.
Right. Well, I guess I'm riding in back.
Paul will scan the back and see if anything jumps out at him as being of note.
Roll me as I try and remember what the perception skill attribute.
Wits and composure.
Wits and composure. Thank you. -1 because it is dark out here.
Sure.
There's light from the Waffle House, but you're in the parking lot right now.
A 0.
Looks like a murder van
A well-appointed murder van.
with sacrament wine.
So, I hop in, close the door, bust open open up one of those boxes, and pull out the sacramental wine.
All right, everyone, follow us as Jonas and Astrid mount their motorcycles. So, Astrid, where and what do you envision your torture suite looking like and being placed at?
The daycare center.
Like, do you think it's in the back of a business? Do you think it's its own standalone building? Do you think it's part of your house or your safe house?
I think it's kind of in the middle of nowhere, kind of just a rundown shack that nobody really notices.
So off like one of those there's one of the main roads that isn't a highway, like has a dirt road that goes off in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah. The roads that people never go down.
There are a surprising number of those in downtown Lawrenceville.
Yep.
Yep.
So Astrid sort of leads the group of you down 124 and then off onto New Hope, away from Lawrenceville proper. And you end up going down New Hope and then cutting down Chandler, which is off this side road. And you end up going down Chandler for a good 5 minutes where she just breaks off into the middle of the forest. And there's a small dirt road that is overgrown with plant life that obscures any and all visual to the road. And it's maybe moving at like a not road pace, maybe like 10, 15 miles an hour rather than the 45 that is
the van
Chandler.
is rocking because it's a dirt road, and just in the back you hear, "Hey, fucker, drive smoother."
We've all been out here long.
I will probably. I'm thinking we're pushing a month here.
And did you pick up the van here, or it's?
Oh, I came with the appointment. Here you go at the church.
No, very nice.
And so the few moments later, as you clear through this last barricade of trees that sort of obscures vision and sound, you come into this dilapidated looking one-room shack in the middle of the forest.
That's a quite charming situation.
As both the motorcycles in the front sort of pull up to the door, tilt to the side, and turn off, as both of the knights stand and wait for the rest of you to pull back up to them.
I can see now why she doesn't care about the windows.
Okay.
It's right out of Lifestyles of the Suspicious and Depressing.
I think I saw this in a movie once. It's like 13 or 14 teenagers just get killed out here.
In every horror movie.
Get out the van, throw the vampire over my shoulder, still holding the bottle of wine in my other hand.
Ah, you find one that still had the original contents.
Far as you're aware.
Well, I thought we drunk through all that and replaced it with the shite from the package store down by. No? All right. Anybody else want some grown-up grape juice?
No,
Nope, I'm good with my hard alcohol. Thank you very much.
Woman after me own heart.
Paul is looking around and pulling
I
on a
just
set of gloves.
I just sort of raise the bottle so that Eamon can see the underside of it, where there is a wax seal on the bottom of the bottle,
Yeah.
and then I just take another drink. For those that don't know what that means, a wax seal is used whenever you empty out a bottle from the bottom, refill it with something else, and then seal it back up. That way, you can empty out a bottle without ever popping the cork.
So
are we gonna are you guys gonna hop right into the?
Well, I'll have to wake him up, and then, of course, he'll need at least 30 seconds to come around and figure out what's going. He's only been down, a couple of days? He'll probably be fine. We won't need to feed him anything.
Right.
So give him a few minutes to come around, and then, we'll start seeing what he knows, if anything.
well,
That's exactly what I was asking. We're being very vague about the see what he knows.
I believe we're looking for anybody else who might know more information. As I slip into fucking Paul's accent, slip into anyone else who knows that might know who the colonel is.
Right. And are we jumping straight into the burning off of hands, or are we asking the questions first?
I think we'll give him a chance to at least
if
go on easy.
if you want, this is sort of Astrid's specialty.
Well, if the lady of the house would like to take point on this, I don't see why not.
A smile slowly creeps across her face.
That's
Feels
very
bad.
disturbing.
So, Astrid, how are we going about this?
Well,
Astrid, you know that if you play this right, just the manipulation of the way the room looks and your presence can typically get someone loose enough to talk without actually having to apply any of the tools.
well, let's have him come to first and see if he feels like talking. And if not, then we can have a little fun with him.
All right, let's get him tied to a chair in there.
She'll unlock the door.
And inside this shack, the outside looks completely run down. The inside looks like an armory. The walls are lined in metal that has a layer of soundproofing behind, so it echoes on the inside but lets no sound out. But instead of guns and weapons on the racks, there are tools of every variety that you could imagine. Anything from regular screwdrivers to hooks and barbs to pincers to clamps to anything that could be used to fix a car or potentially torture a human being.
Oh, look, a blowtorch.
Yes, there's a blowtorch.
I hear that the first thing you feel when a blowtorch goes to your skin isn't actually the heat. Because
And I'm out.
As I start to quote a particularly bad Punisher movie.
Astrid will walk over to a mini fridge, grab a beer, hold it open. If anyone wants a drink.
I'm fine, thanks.
So Nina, you just head out?
Yep.
You're stepping outside, or?
Stepping outside and going for a walk.
No. Jonas kind of looks at the group of you. I'll leave you to the interrogation. It's never been my specialty. He says, he sort of lights up a cigarette and steps outside.
It's not mine either. I just found it fun.
All right. Well, Sean, you stick around here, and I'm going to make sure that our local friend doesn't trip over something and break her neck in the woods. And Eamon's going to go follow Nina.
All right. Well, let's get this guy tied up then. I will carry him to wherever Astrid indicates and start tying him up, leaving the stake in.
Mm-hmm. And since he can't struggle because of the stake, it's real easy. You just tie some efficient knots and make sure that he's tied tight. You don't have to worry about cutting off circulation because it doesn't have any.
All right, then. Let's get the scene set up, and I'll pull it out.
You get it appropriately tied up. Pull the stake out.
I was gonna let Astrid set up the room, however Astrid wanted to set up the room.
It's already preset.
Okay, good.
Just place him in front of the window.
Make sure the curtains are drawn.
Yeah.
So you pull the stake out, and it takes a minute because he sort of you yank the stake out, and there's like a bone cracking noise as you pull the stake out of what was previously structuring his sternum. And he jolts forward for a second, but can't go far because of the ropes that have him tied to the back of the chair. And he sort of groggily leans and rolls to the side for a second, his head just kind of lolling. And after maybe about a minute, it slowly begins to pick up. And as it leans back, he sort of leans his head back and opens his eyes vaguely, slowly, kind of unfocused. And then, Astrid, go ahead and make me a presence and intimidation check, adding 2 for the dots you have in Torture Suite.
For whether or not it adds any bonuses, I will be sitting on a counter in view, cleaning the stake.
Say that adds an extra 1. And you can spend a willpower on this if you want. So at the moment, you'll be adding a grand total of
2 successes.
You need 1 extra one for the modifier from, and you can also spend a willpower if you want.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and spend a willpower.
Okay, so your grand total will actually be +6.
All right.
Damn.
3 successes.
Still better. So as he sort of eyes unfocused, begins to focus, sees you standing in front of a window, and sees the tools that are on the walls, looks around, sees him with the stake that he knows was previously in his chest, looks at you. I'm in deep shit.
Yep.
Is there any way I can not be in deep shit?
You can answer our questions.
Sure. I hope the sun's not up yet, and if it is, I hope that curtain stays shut.
It depends on your answers.
I peer out through the window. I peer out through the curtain. I don't think the sun's up yet, is it?
No.
I peer out to the curtain where he can see that if I do it when the sun's up, it'll hit him. Shrug, shake my head, put it back.
What time is it right now?
Probably like 4 a.m. You got a couple hours before the sun starts coming up.
Okay. All right, what did we want to get out of him?
The information that you were hoping was anyone who knew more about the Colonel.
Okay.
And anything else he knew about the Colonel.
And anything else he knew about the Colonel if he didn't know anything.
All right. Well, to start, how much do you know about the Colonel?
Not a lot. I know he's foreign. He's got a weird accent. I don't watch enough movies to know where. Some were European. He came in saying something about the Crimson Veil and how it was supposedly here and that was going to make everything right for us.
Do those words mean anything to me or the Aegis Kaidoru in the room?
You can both roll me intelligence occult.
How old does this vampire look, by the way? I mean,
he looks like mid-20s. He looks like mid-20s suburban white dude.
Okay. You said intelligence and occult, is that right?
Yes.
Okay.
Ah, one success.
The name Crimson Veil means nothing to you.
0 for me.
It means nothing to you, especially.
Okay. In response to his statement about the accent, Paul says, I know you said you didn't know where he was from, but and you don't know enough, you don't watch enough movies, but when you heard it, was it the sort of thing you'd associate with a good guy or a bad guy in a movie?
Yes.
Generally, I'd call it a bad guy accent if I had to place it.
Okay.
Oh, he's probably
Thanks.
Russian then.
I mean, it could have been Russian, could have been German. I mean, something in the middle, Austrian. I don't know.
Let's be
Helps
fair.
us
If we're
narrow it
talking
down.
about American movies, it's
Right.
you have an accent.
Point.
That's fair.
Do you know anyone who would know more about the Colonel? Whereabouts?
I know that he's mostly been gathering people up around the boondocks. The boonies, sorry. Boondocks is a different thing. Out in the sticks. There's a lot of free range up there, and the vampires that are there have been there for a long time. Sort of holdouts from generations ago. They've got all the power among the vampires around here, and he sort of inserted himself right among those guys. So you'd be looking more rural areas than this, probably a bit southeast.
All right.
I know I used to be wandering around there, sort of seeing what I could pick up, but they got real organized when the Colonel moved in, and anybody who didn't want to march to the tune of the drum was told to get out, go to Atlanta if they needed to find something cheap, and I wasn't about to stand around.
Any city in particular?
I mean,
Come on.
I was hanging around more around like Walton County, sort of roaming the cities around there.
All right, so we're looking at Walton.
Paul will look at the other two to sort of get an indication if they, if that means anything to them.
Walton County?
Yeah.
I
mean, it doesn't
Yeah.
to Paul. He's a new arrival.
Yeah. Sean nod.
Okay.
And then just sort of still trying to figure out exactly what type of gun this is, but we'll just sort of pat the Thunder 5 on his hip to indicate that he's done.
Astrid will just look at the other two. You guys have any more questions for him?
You ever heard of anyone named Shakes?
No, that's not a name that I've heard.
Is he telling the truth?
You can roll me wits and empathy.
Okay. Where are you hiding empathy? There you are. I've lost my empathy. Oh, but I did get 3 successes.
Hey. The name registered to him, but it didn't seem like a name that he's familiar with. He might have heard it before.
Okay. Paul sighs and looks genuinely sad. Look, I promise you, I'm not trying to do the good cop, bad cop thing. I just really don't have much of a stomach for this sort of thing. I was really hoping we'd get out of here without having to go this route, but you know that's not true. Just tell us what you know, and we can all go about with our day, and I can get my appetite back.
Would anyone like to be the bad cop to back that one up?
I just cock the gun.
And I will point out, Paul is being completely genuine. He really doesn't want to have to watch this vampire get tortured.
Astrid's just gonna light a match and hold it up to his cheek.
Astrid, roll me presence and intimidation, +2 for your torture suite.
Okay.
And then Paul, roll me manipulation and persuasion.
Okay.
+1 for the assistance.
3 successes.
Oh boy.
That's a scary ass match you got there, lady.
And two from me.
Fired. No. He sort of just like tries to lean away from the match.
She'll just like bring it closer.
There's a weird dealer girl. This doesn't like, she sells things for money, but she doesn't like push drugs on anybody. She's weird, but she's always hanging around like Atlanta proper, like Buckhead, and they call her Shakes.
When you say weird, you mean like weird? And he taps his eye.
She smells weird, like pixie dust, icicles.
Okay. What about the sort of things she sells? Are they weird too?
Yeah. Make you feel like pixie dust and icicles?
You ever buy anything off her?
No, but the people that do buy off of her taste like pixie dust and icicles, if you know what I mean.
I'm very pleased to say that I don't, but I appreciate the clarification. Can I see if I in fact do know anything that makes you feel like pixie dust and icicles?
Wits in a cult because you're trying to interpret something rather than know something.
Yeah. Acid.
That would be hilarious if it's just a floating shout from outside.
Oh no.
One success.
I mean, it could be acid, but the thing that, with your knowledge that, as far as you know, Shakes is a changeling, if this is Shakes, it's probably something magic.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Paul will look at the other two and then say, and the Colonel, does he move any kind of merchandise that you're aware of?
Hate people.
Well, I'm not necessarily talking about to people.
No, I mean his merchandise is hate, and his merchandise is people. He's a military man, and not the nice kind.
Fair enough. Paul shrugs. Nothing else occurs to me. Is Jonas outside?
Yeah, he's outside having a smoke.
If you don't mind, I could get a little bit of fresh air. I'll step out and talk to Jonas and be right back.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
So the two of you are left inside with the vampire. What are you guys up to?
I'm currently trying to figure out specific information about my gun.
Okay. So while you guys are thinking about what you're gonna do, and while you're about to go talk to Jonas, we'll switch over as Nina. You're eating. Literally as you're eating. As soon as you finish that mouthful.
Your timing today.
It's fantastic. I know. Oh boy.
All right.
So Nina.
Yep.
As you're just kind of walking away from that place to just try and
get up a smoke, walking away.
About a minute after you walk out and start having a smoke, you hear the sound of footfalls coming up behind you.
Okay. And she's still walking. She's not just like walking right outside and smoking. She's walking.
Yeah. You got a distance. You're in the middle of the forest.
Yeah.
You got room to walk. As you hear Eamon
behind
you.
If you're trying to be sneaky, you suck at it. And if you're not trying to be sneaky, then yeah, I got nothing. What?
It just struck me that local though you might be, considering we've got one of them in custody, there's always a chance that a few of the others might be lurking around if he's got friends. And long story short, didn't
might
feel
be
like
lurking around at the place that we took him that was far away from where you assumedly nabbed him.
Look, there's a lot we don't know about these kinds, and caution is generally advisable.
I'm fine.
Oh, I had no doubt you were, but in the very slim chance that you weren't, I wanted there to be somebody to shout at.
Shout pretty loud, but fine. So I guess the only thing I've got to ask you is this how you think it's going to go? Every single bit of information, every single scrap we need to find?
Well, I hope not.
Because I'm going to go out on a limb here, and I may be wrong, but assume that you're not local.
Reasonable assumptions.
Okay. I'm pretty damn sure that Paul's not local.
Aye.
So once you guys finish up here, I would assume this isn't a place you're going to be settling down.
Likely not. The church tends to move.
You're going to have to clean up your messes once you come in here, cause chaos.
You're concerned about collateral damage to the community, that sort of thing.
I'm concerned about collateral damage to the people I care about. And yes, the community as well.
It's a valid concern. And I think I can speak for the church when we say that we're definitely in the business of primarily doing our best to defend those of us that aren't affected by whatever it is that's put the supernatural into the lives of others and turned them into whatever's turned them into. But with that defense comes a level of risk, of course, but we're not here to be as loose cannon as we probably come across.
I hope not.
And forgive me if I'm wrong for making these assumptions, but ladies such as yourself, and he points at the shirt.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is ironic, isn't it?
Well, I was more going along the lines of, I'm assuming you're a rather independent thinker, not one for conventional
it's fair to say
stereotypes of lifestyle. And as far as that goes, that's 100% your purview. We're not going to be here to cause some trouble for you on that score at all.
Good to know.
I mean, Anton makes a few decent points, and while I disagree with the man as a whole, I can understand a bit where he's coming from.
No, I understand the mission. I get the job. I get the point behind this. I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing if I didn't. Believe me, I've got plenty other ways to spend my time. But it's one thing to find people out there, find things out there specifically that are hurting people, that are doing terrible things, or even that are facilitating it, and to put those down. That's a surgical strike. That's the kind of thing that you should do. It's another thing to enjoy it. That bothers me.
All right. Fair enough. Can't speak for my brother entirely. And given me background, there's a level of satisfaction I find in a job well done.
Oh, satisfaction is fine. I get that.
As far as whether there's a particular titillation that a man finds from seeing the blood of an individual squirt out from the gashes he's made with a sharp metallic instrument, well, it's a bit more on.
I mean, that kind of thing to me, when you start getting in that mindset,
It's unprofessional.
Well, that too, but at that point, about the only difference between one of us and one of them is the fact that they're a lot harder to kill.
Oh, no, I'm with you there.
And I don't know how much you know about my group.
Yeah, bits
We
and pieces here and about.
We deal with all kinds of threats, not just the supernatural ones.
There's monsters with a capital M and there's monsters with a lowercase m, and honestly, there's little to choose between them as far as the community is concerned. Is that what you're after?
Yeah, essentially.
No, I think I agree with you there. And look, I'll be honest with you. There's been times that I've done things that a community such as yourself would not want done in its company.
Oh, there's been times I've done that too.
Not the same sort of thing that I'm talking about, but there's generally, I don't take jobs without a reason, no matter who's offering the orders.
Okay.
Church or the mob alike, doesn't matter. If I don't believe the job needs to be done, the job doesn't get done.
Fair enough.
But we're not here to start another inquisition or anything like that. Come scorched earth and everything into the city that honestly isn't ours.
All right.
But I understand you'd have concerns about that sort of thing. We're a couple of fucking mix from the Emerald Isle, just showing up and spitting jokes and having bodies already in the backs of our vans.
I mean, I was gonna say a couple of psychos sent by the fucking Vatican, but yeah, same thing.
But that being the case, no, you're the local expert, and if we start tugging at the leads a little too strongly, you give us a quick jerk and let us know.
Right. Fair enough.
We'll tilt away from that conversation just a bit to go to slide back to Paul as you step outside, as you spot Jonas with his cigarette in his mouth, just sort of leaning against the wall, eyes shut, just inhales, takes a cigarette away, exhales. What can I do for you, Paul?
I will pass along what we learned and then say, so I'm relatively certain we've got most of what we can learn about this Shakes, at least from him. Fairly certain that we've gotten what he knows about the Colonel. But you being the man on the ground, as it were, is there anything else that we're not thinking of at this point that we should be asking?
Actually, yeah, there's one more. This one was someone that I was looking for a while. Someone that I'm not exactly looking to tangle with, but I want to know if he's run into him. Jack Cross.
Jack Cross. All right. What can you tell me about Jack Cross, so I know if our little friend inside is?
He's a man of a more lupine persuasion, shall we say?
Paul tenses up a little bit and says, "All right. What is the situation with the skin changers here in town as a whole?"
From what I can gather, and it's not a lot, they seem to think that they're sort of the supernatural police. In their minds, they're the people that need to keep the other monsters in line. And, well, you know how America's proceed when it tries to get into other countries' business. Now add claws and teeth and razor sharp supernatural strength and
I've seen this supposed justice that they think they can bring to things. Not only better than any of the other monsters, and in a lot of cases they're a lot worse.
They can get very aggressive. I think Jack's heart is in the right place. I'm not certain, but I've only interacted with him once or twice. But he's sort of the running face when it comes to a lot of my interactions with the changers. And I'm curious if the vampires are familiar with him.
Well, I'll ask, but I appreciate you being forthcoming. I appreciate your help taking out our friend in that penthouse when you and I first met. So I won't let anything get back to the home office, shall we say, about you having liaisons with the local wolves. But in case you weren't already aware, the AKD isn't a big fan of werewolves. So we'll keep that one just between us.
Well, here's a question I have for you, Paul, and I'll probably need to ask everyone in this group. You're the majority. I'm just sort of slightly more experienced, and my skill set is varied, but I'm no specialist in anything, except maybe shooting. How do we want to play in terms of our views on the otherworldly? Are they all to be killed, or do those who have their hearts in the right place deserve to stay alive?
Paul considers Jonas for a second and says, well, I have a feeling that our friends from the church and our new friend with the torture shack here may have different views.
Astrid puts on a tough face, and she's scary when she needs to be. But
so this is for weekend getaways.
When she needs to be. But I know there's at least some monsters she doesn't want to kill.
I'm a pragmatist myself. Like I said, you talk to the more gung-ho members of the Aegis, and I think they'd have very different ideas, and I certainly don't want anything to get back that I've been working with the ancient foes of the Order or anything like that, but it's a means to an end, and if it can help us stop larger harm, then I'm not going to get in your way. If you've got contacts, let's use them. But with regard to this Mr. Cross, you want us just to make sure that that this fanged fellow's impression of him is similar to what you have, or you want me to ask him something specific?
I just want to see if he's familiar with Mr. Cross, and if he's had any run-ins with any of the changers.
All right. Let's see what we can find out for you. Anything else?
See what you can get as a read on the rest of the group before I have to ask them myself about how they feel about monsters.
Will do. He takes a moment, kind of shrugs his shoulders, straightens his blazer out, gives Jonas a smile, and walks back inside.
So back in the shack.
I've just been sitting there sharpening the steak.
And so it's as the moments whittle on, as you sort of contemplate after getting the information that you needed out of him, whether or not you need any more, as you're sharpening the steak, and Astrid, as you're sort of making sure all the tools are in working order, or just sort of doing it for show to make sure that he knows that each of these could be used if you wanted to. Paul steps back in.
Look over at Paul with a raised eyebrow.
I have one or two more questions, if you all don't mind. Now, your name, it's Craig, right?
No, it really isn't.
All right, so
I just start laughing.
Okay, me as a player, that's Jack and John fucking with me personally. Okay.
That's what the characters have said.
All vampires are named Craig, according to the twins. Yeah.
I mean, I assumed it was a shot at the old Discord bot. Because
it's a variety of
Craig.
There are so many layers to this
I feel
joke.
very
to be
attacked
honest.
right now.
Not you, Craig.
Not you,
The bot
Craig.
Craig.
The bot
You-
Craig.
Yeah.
The Craig joke is a several layers deep joke.
I was going to say, this is an onion that you can unpeel for days.
But that is what the other
Well,
hunters
that's
have
why
called
I'm
him.
crying. Anyway,
that is what we have called this vampire, is Craig.
okay, all right. So Paul will glare over
Sean, who is
in the
laughing.
direction of at Sean and say, "All right. So, what is your name?"
Jackson.
All right, Jackson. Look, I have another person to ask you about. Do you know anything about a Jack Cross? Was it Jack? It was Jack Cross, right?
Yeah, Jack Cross.
Okay.
You see his eyes go wide for a second. Immediately in recognition.
This vampire's
Why?
the worst poker face.
Why? I mean, he's already shitting himself based on the previous roles that have been made, and sees Paul as the good cop.
Some Primogen is like, let him die.
Oh yeah, this guy was turned very recently.
Look, I don't know about the running you've had with these other fellas here. I don't know what you're doing in the back of the van, but tell me what you know
That's
about
when he goes,
this
I was in a van?
Jack Cross.
Right. What van?
Craig was the guy I was running with before they showed up. He says, indicating as best he can towards the Malleus Maleficarum.
I wave with the stake.
Okay. Well, sorry about your friend then, I assume.
Yeah. I mean, he was kind of an asshole, but yeah.
Don't even get me started on Craig's.
That's what I've been talking about this whole time.
Oh yeah,
Craig's
fuck
are
those
assholes.
guys. But look, anyway, what do you know about Jack Cross?
I know he's big and scary and has lots of teeth and claws. Sometimes Jack Cross and some of his buddies like to show up in our business. Anytime too many people end up a little bit thin-blooded. Anytime somebody gets a little bit too scared. Jack Cross and his buddies end up showing up wherever we are, even if we weren't the guys involved, and start shaking us down and telling us to lay off. But I kind of have bodily needs. I actually kind of got more of them now that, I live only on blood. I don't know why he's suddenly becoming New Yorker.
I was gonna say that got distinctly like Brooklyn there.
Hunter the Vigil, the Wandering Accents game.
Never fear, Brooklyn is here.
Hey, so anyway, yeah, tell me a little bit more about this guy, Jack Cross, all right?
I mean, Nina can
So he's
suddenly
big,
develop.
he's got hair, he's got fangs. What's the deal?
Nina can suddenly develop Palistra's accent.
Oh God.
Alistair had an accent.
Fuck no.
So you say he rolls up and he's not killing you, but just giving you warnings. What's he been doing?
Well, I mean, I've done my best to not be one of the people that he wants to kill. But there's more than a couple of piles of ashes that were made by his hand.
Well, I assume literally, if he's as scary as what we hear. How you mentioned he's got buddies? How many?
The pack always runs in different numbers, but he's usually around like 4 or 5 others.
Any idea where they're coming from, or any idea how they track you all down?
He tells us that he can smell us, so I don't know what to make of that.
Maybe change aftershaves.
You see him laugh, and he tries to laugh, and then strains against the bonds. And oh God, I don't need to laugh. There was a stake in my sternum a while back.
I waved the stake that was in his sternum.
All right. Any idea where he and his buddies hang out when they're not hunting you all down in the streets?
I try and avoid them. If I see them around, I tend to turn around and walk out and get as far away as I can, hoping they didn't see me.
That makes sense. What sort of places have you walked into and seen them?
Usually bars.
You remember any offhand?
Last place I saw Jack Cross was Atmosphere, off of 78.
No,
the place that used to be Atmosphere, I think it's called DJ Senti's now.
I'll look over at the other two. Does that mean anything to either of you?
Does Astrid know where that is?
Do I know where that is?
Intelligent streetwise.
I know where 78 is, obviously, but beautiful elegance. That -1 for streetwise.
0.
0 successes.
Sounds like a bar. You do have phones.
I pull out my phone and look it up.
Well, I mean, Paul is not doubting that it is a legitimate place of business, but
yeah, just trying to see if there's...
Yeah, just seeing if anybody has any specific links. I assume that if you pull it up on Yelp, there won't be a 5-star review that says great
for vampires and werewolves.
Yeah, great draft selection, also vampires.
I mean, you can Google Atmosphere if you want. What you'll actually find on Google will be a little bit outdated because this is a different timeline. But what you find based on Googling Atmosphere, what you find in Universe, would be... There's a lot of atmospheres actually now that I actually Google it myself. But what you find is that there used to be there was a tiny strip off of 78 that used to have this bar Atmosphere and a bunch of like restaurants next to it. All of those buildings have been bought up and are now Sentis, which is one giant club that spans across all of them with multiple DJs, multiple groups. It's apparently a club for all music tastes, like everybody. Like they play every genre of music you could think of: rock, country, music, rock, country, metal, techno.
Yes, the three genres, the 3 genres of music: rock, country, and music.
Music, rock, country, metal, techno, trance, you name it. They play everything at different times. They sort of brand themselves on being this place for people who like all kinds of music, who just like the sensation of listening to music, of being in a club, of this environment of club atmosphere.
Thursday nights are yodeling.
If it's a popular request, you don't doubt that it would be a thing. Mongolian throat singing.
I will wait to see if Paul has any further questions.
No, I think that's everything. Thank you. I don't know if we should wait for our other companions to come back, but I don't have anything further. What time is it?
Would you guys intend to be heading back after your conversation?
Probably. I think this would be a great time to come in.
I mean, yeah, if you want to be walking in the door right now.
Yep.
It's just something. It sounds like he's about to say, I would like to thank you for the opportunity to be your interrogator this evening.
As the last two members of your party step inside.
Not saying it's not. I appreciate that.
It's not like everybody gets a chance to be an interrogator every night.
Suppose. Well, he's in one piece. I'm stunned.
I shrug and whittle the steak in my hands.
Do I get?
I'll share with them what we've learned.
Well, hang on. 1 second.
Hold on.
I plant the steak in his chest.
Oh,
there you go. Now go ahead. Wait until he's not necessarily conscious anymore.
Paul's like, yeah, well, oh God. Jesus. All right. So
passage of the job, mate.
Now you can talk. Now you can talk freely.
Yep.
I mean, fucking telling him what he had just told us, but yeah, all right. So, and then he'll fill them in on what we learned from the vampire.
After Paul fills them in. Now, as much as I love dealing with vampires and turning them into little tiny piles of ashes, it would probably be very useful if we kept this guy around as a friend to potentially gather information in places we can't go.
Are you saying that we're going to have a leech on a leash?
Pretty much, yeah.
Wait a minute. I mean, I'm not. I don't know him. I don't know enough about him to know whether he should be out walking around or not. But if he goes places we're not able to go,
he's not coming back.
What?
Then he won't be coming back.
Right.
Well, look now.
And how do we get the information that we sent him to the places that we're not able to go?
There are ways to convince a person that it's in their best interest to keep with us without us having to actually be able to follow them everywhere.
I think
little bit of wire.
I actually might have a way to have him keep us informed, even if he doesn't necessarily know about it. It would work once, and like you said, he probably wouldn't come back afterwards. But just as an insurance, as some insurance, if he doesn't choose to return.
Also, a little bit of wire, a little bit of a beeping watch, right in the hole, so that when it heals up, he's just got this small little echoing beep. Yes, he doesn't quite know what it is.
Fuck no!
I think that's amazing.
I look over him. This is exactly what I was fucking talking about.
Sean, we're talking about planting an explosive on someone. I'm
talking about faking an explosive, making him think we've got him on a leash.
Just to scare him.
All right, so that's a little less risky, sure. But I'm of the opinion that an individual of his, shall we say, physiology is probably perfectly fine with, cutting himself open because he's basically a walking corpse and pulling it out and chucking it in the nearest drain.
That's fair. I didn't think about that.
And so either we waste $30 faking him out on something that he's just going to throw away in the first place, or we spend a lot more money on something that is actually real, and then we just give him some explosives to play with.
That's fair. I didn't think about that. No, I'll carry on.
All right. Well, whatever.
And Eamon gives Nina a very apologetic look.
Whatever we do with Fangy McFuckface here.
Oh, he's
So I
Irish
was
now,
going
is
to
he?
ask. I would, William. It
Mhm.
is probably fair to say that I am familiar with this club.
With Sentis? Absolutely. So to see how familiar, go ahead and roll me a streetwise.
I mean, I tour clubs.
Yeah. Roll me a streetwise, and let me see what kind of bonus I'm going to give you. Roll me streetwise and add your fame dots.
Okay. Intelligence streetwise.
Yep. Intelligent streetwise, add your fame.
2 successes.
Sentis sprang up recently, but has been very popular. And like I said, it's a sort of an all tastes bar. That's why it's so large, so that they can have different music playing in different areas to appeal to different people.
Right.
It's definitely a place that you might not have personally performed there before, but you're definitely familiar with it, because it has become a relatively popular place since it showed up. Like it's picked up a lot of business.
Okay.
It's really hard to hit the all taste style and actually pull it off without messing it up and hitting the wrong music for the wrong crowd.
Right.
But somehow whoever runs that place knows just who their crowd is and just what music they need to be playing at the right time.
Okay. So yeah, I'm fairly knowledgeable about the club. I can.
Does this seem to be a surprise to Jonas, or is he?
Jonas is outside.
Oh, he didn't come in with everybody else?
No.
Oh, okay.
I can probably, if we need to get information out of there, I can probably do that.
Well, I don't think
We
we
can
have
also
anything...
get. I don't know. What do we want?
We're not likely to get anything more out of Craig here,
Right.
Anytime soon. So the question is, are we wanting to set him free, which I'm not really up for? Want to just go ahead and kill him outright, or do we want to try to utilize him for more things in the future?
I mean,
As I say it, the only two rational choices are either kill him now and put him out of his misery,
right.
or keep him staked in case we need, I don't know, a second opinion on something. But he's a wee fucker. He's been around the block maybe twice. We've probably got everything we need to out of him based on what you're giving us as a report, Paul.
Mm-hmm.
And if we turn him loose, he's just gonna. We're not turning him loose.
No, we're not turning him.
Right.
So therein lies the question you hear from behind you as Jonas enters the room. Not just for this gentleman in particular, but for our approach in the future. I'm just one man, and my opinion is just mine. I'd like to get the census from this group of what our opinion is of monsters in general. Are they all to be killed? Or do those who have their hearts in the right spot get to live?
I mean, you're going to have to define having their heart in the right spot. I say indicating where the stake is.
Do no harm.
Look, as far as that goes, I'm all for the fact that there's certain creatures out there that you can sit down and have a conversation with. But when it comes to vampires, they don't exist unless they eat people, more or less. And I've never heard of one that's gone through and kept their teeth clean. Look, we run into whatever the wolfy type folks are, and these little bastards that come swanning out to Tiernan and Ogre wherever. Sure, we might be able to take them on a case by case basis, but if it's a creature that survives by killing, by being a predator on the rest of the population, and you can throw all your ethical questions about eating beef and whatnot at me all you like, but no, vampires we kill, the rest we take on an individualized case.
I'm not particularly opposed to that.
Except for utilizing the odd vampire for information as we come across it, I'm pretty much in line with that.
I mean, yeah, they're obviously.
Oh, sure. If you got an opportunity, you
If
might as well
there's
take
value
advantage of it.
to
Twist.
them, yeah.
A bit more of a
Right.
practicality. Yeah.
Jonas offers a long look to Astrid.
I agree.
Paul, your thoughts?
I'm glad to hear that's actually a bit more measured than I was expecting. Yeah, I don't have any particular problem with taking him out. Again, he helped us out. If you're going to do it now, at least do it clean.
Oh yeah.
Doesn't deserve
Do
it.
it well, he's staked. It's not.
I was going to say, yeah, Eamon just whips out the kukri and spins it around twice.
Let me be.
If anybody doesn't like looking at it,
Yeah.
clear the room, I'll take care of it.
And let me clear some of the water in the room just real quick. The psycho bastard son of a bitch thing that I'm doing right now is mostly for my own amusement. Just to make that absolutely clear, if me having a measured response is shocking, you don't do this thing as you don't work in this sort of line of business without either going a little bit mad or finding ways to entertain yourself. So, pardon the black humor, but that's all it really is.
No, and it's nothing personal. It's not you. It's candidly, it's the reputation of your organization.
And let me be clear. My people we might have some pushback against them from them if we with our stated intent here on how we deal with things.
Right.
They're a little more along your organization's mindset. Psycho Twin.
The Maleficarum does have a sort of a burn the ground that you're walking on predilection, but they tend to let us operate on a case-by-case basis so that they actually have ground left to walk on.
Also plausible deniability, I'm guessing.
That too. Though they do still reimburse us for all the bullets, which is kind of nice.
I mean,
So
you have to back your secret loose cannons.
exactly.
I just don't want to get into a situation where we walk into a place that's full of vampires or fucking fairies or whatever, and you all go in guns blazing first, and we don't get back out.
Oh no, that's a good way. That's a good way to die. That's a real good way to die.
If we walk into a place full of vampires, we're not walking out.
Well,
we might be crazy. We might be crazy, but we're not insane.
Well, look, again, nothing personal to you. You wouldn't be the first people from your organization who seem to want to, shall we say, hasten their own beatification process.
I mean, yeah, there is something to be said for
You're not wrong.
martyrdom among your people.
Yeah, you're not wrong. You're not wrong.
And if that's what you want to pursue, again, like I said, comparative religion can wait. We can argue the merits of that. You can pursue it on your own time. Just don't draw me into it. I'm perfectly happy continuing my own non-sainted existence for hopefully very many years to come.
Well, I mean, martyrdom is one of the best ways to go, as long as it happens at a ripe old age in bed with a beautiful woman on either side.
Amen.
I don't think
I like your definition
Amen.
of martyrdom.
Amen.
Admittedly, I may not have been in as many cathedrals as you all have been, but I must say I don't remember that particular scene showing up in all that many stained glass windows.
Oh, that's the saints that they don't talk about.
Well, and
there you go.
you do realize that with all those celibate priests, about somebody has to pick up the slack.
And I didn't take my oath, so that's what we're here for.
That would be Saint Syphilis, the patron saint of orgies.
But I sort of clap Paul on the shoulder. Regardless, you don't have to worry about us going off half cocked and into a bar full of vampires and getting all of us killed. All right?
Well, that's a relief. All right, then sure.
My brother only goes off full cocked, anyways.
Somehow I knew that was coming. But sure, then let's go ahead and make it quick while he's still out.
It's funny because it sticks.
I look at Eamon, and I hold up my hands in the rock paper scissors.
Paul is just pinching the bridge of his nose.
Right, all
right. Anybody who doesn't want in on this, feel free to clear the room.
I pull the thunder
Sean
out.
gets his ready.
I pull the thunder 5 out, which is just like a really fat-looking revolver that chambers shotgun shells.
Yep.
Walk over, put it in the vampire's mouth.
Hang on a minute. Astrid, is anything we've got for tissue dispersal shielding or anything?
You know how to clean this room up.
Okay.
You want the teeth first.
You have a hose attachment inside.
I say to Eamon, you want the teeth first.
Put the wee fucker out of his misery.
I was going to say, you have pliers.
Gotcha. Anyone here doesn't want to watch, turn away. And I'll wait to see if anyone turns away.
Nope.
Paul will turn his head.
Fire.
Jonas looks down but doesn't really turn away.
I unload a shotgun shell on the inside of this vampire's mouth.
What was there is now splattered across the walls and swiftly begins to turn to ash.
Retrieve the stake. Holster the thunder. Right, so I believe we're going to a party.
I mean, what time of night is it at this point?
It's coming up on dawn, isn't it?
Yeah, it's coming up. Dawn's approaching. It's about.
We're not going to any party. Well, let me rephrase that. We're not going to the party that that you think we're going to, because that party is probably closed down by now.
Be a shite bar if it closes right just before dawn.
Well, if you think it will still be open, fine. But I'm certainly not opposed to the idea of getting.
You realize dawn is when morning comes, right?
Isn't it like 2 hours away, or like a few hours away from? Yeah. Reverse. The guy that we were talking about that was at a party club was a werewolf, not a vampire.
Right, but the club's still gonna be closed because it's dawn.
Yeah, it's about. It was about 5 when you got here. It's probably about 6 now.
Yeah.
After all.
That's the joke he was making.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Shite bar that closes before dawn.
I'm gonna look up their hours on my phone.
Atmosphere, or rather, Sentis.
8 to 4 a.m., something like that, probably.
Yeah. It's about 8 a.m. to 4 a.m.
I will take a swig of the sacramental wine and offer it out to anybody that wants. If you take a sniff, it's not wine.
Paul will take a sniff with no intention of drinking it unless it smells like something caffeinated at this point.
It's whiskey.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm sorry, I've generally made it a habit not to accept drinks from untrustworthy men. And
fair enough.
No offense.
You'd think the collar would do something for that.
Yeah, it makes it worse.
Oh, what day is it?
Tuesday.
Sean said that out loud.
We were gonna go to the rocket party at dawn 2 a.m.
Jonas said that out loud too.
Okay, right.
What day is it? Tuesday.
Fuck, man. I thought it was still Sunday.
You've been running hard.
Sounds like
well.
I may not be the other one who could use a little bit of sleep. Now, I don't mind sleeping in the back of the van or driving if that's what you want to do. But
we got a place.
But
I've got a place.
I've got a place.
Otherwise, I could use a return to my hotel, let me sleep a little bit, and then we could all reconvene when this place. And he looks over at Astrid and said, "When did you say it opened? At 8?
Yeah, 8.
PM.
Yes, PM, not AM.
So why don't we all go?
AM on a Tuesday.
Again, rockin' bar. Oh no, if it's a bar, that makes sense because there are absolutely 8 a.m. on a Tuesday
drinkers.
No, I was serious. It was 8 a.m. to 4 a.m. It's closed for about 4 hours for cleaning.
Oh,
Like it is a bar and club.
And then the bar opens.
Yeah, the bar opens at 8.
The morning alcoholics got it.
Right. Oh,
The bar opens at 8. The club opens when the sun goes down.
Right.
Totally makes sense.
All right, well, we'll go ahead and take Paul back to his hotel. So we passed out ourselves. In various stages of.
I will make a couple calls, see what I can arrange for us at the club.
Sounds good.
Right.
To the van. Eamon, you still got the keys.
Tosses them to you.
I've been drinking. I take another drink and walk towards the van.
Can I actually try to catch them as they're thrown?
Roll me a dexterity.
Athletics?
Say.
Yeah, dexterity athletics.
Yeah.
Yeah, dexterity athletics.
Want me to roll too?
Sure.
I got 1 success. I'm trying to catch him.
One success.
But you've been drinking.
Yeah, you should have a negative.
Yeah, so you've been drinking and he was reaching to intercept, whereas you were just trying to catch.
Yeah.
I was going to say you need more successes than he does.
That's
So
fair.
he wins a tie.
Yeah.
So he catches them out of the air.
Paul says, "No offense, but I know where the hotel is." And he'll kind of glance down at the bottle, if you don't mind.
He makes a fair point, I'd say.
I don't care at all. As long as you don't wreck the good, just so long as you don't wreck it and ruin the face of our blessed lady.
No, shouldn't be a problem. As long as there's not heavy, fast-moving traffic in which I get a negative.
It is morning in Atlanta, William.
I mean,
probably not fast-moving then.
The heavy, fast-moving traffic will be going in the opposite direction of where he's headed, though, because they'll be going into Atlanta. His hotel's away from it.
Yeah, I mean, William, you and I can double check on that, but I think it's mainly, if you're in a car chase or something.
That's basically what it generally refers.
That is, one eye is generally for like car chases. Yeah.
Does the
when you would need
replacement
to
eye
make a
not
drive
function as an
check.
eye?
You don't need to make a drive check just to navigate.
Fair enough.
I will be in the back of the van continuing to drink.
Unless you're driving in New York.
Yes.
All right, fair enough.
Or some of the worst parts of Atlanta. So,
Atlanta.
So what time are we going to meet up at the bar? Should we meet somewhere else?
Why don't we trade numbers? I say, holding up myself. We can decide.
Yeah. Everybody give me phone numbers. I'll text. I'll pass them along.
In D&D, it's the when do we decide on the group name. In World of Darkness, it's when do we start the group chat.
Yep. Yeah. Absolutely.
You do get a text from Jonas because he's already headed out on his motorcycle that just says, give everyone my number.
Yep.
Nina.
Yeah. As soon as I get everybody's number, I just start the text.
We get
And that which starts with this number, this person. This number, this person.
Yep.
Great.
Just with the first letter.
Right.
Not the full name.
Right.
Not an idiot.
ESAPN and J.
J. Yeah.
Yep.
Wow.
With
None of
an
us have
eventual D to be added.
None of us have a first name that starts with the same letter as anyone else. That's impressive.
Nope.
That's very impressive
That's a
for
fucking
us.
first.
That is unusual for Final Show films.
Let me check. Oh, no. Even Aaron's character starts with a D.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
We managed to do it finally.
Yes.
4
Which of
years
course
after we
means
started.
that one of us is going to die in the second session, and we'll have to make another character, and then they can ruin it.
4 years after we first started doing this, we managed to get a group of characters that don't share any initials.
All right. Yep.
All right.
So you all
Head out.
retire to your various locations and rest for the evening. You all go through your various day-to-day lives, preparing for the evening, and all meet up at this. Presumably, you organize a time. Probably, when do you intend to go and investigate Sentis?
So before we get to the meeting up, I'm going to make some contacts or make some calls to see if we can get like a it's a nightclub, it's an up and coming hot new nightclub. I'm assuming there's a VIP room of some kind, a private room, something like that, that will get us access without any questions being asked, without anybody having to wait at the door, something like that.
You want to try and engage your friends and neighbors?
Yep.
All right, so it'll give you a one dot ally.
Okay. I've also after Jeremy gets done with that, and after I get a drink, I've got a thing that I think I and potentially also aim at.
Mm-hmm. So you make some calls to people that you know, people that the union know, and you can secure yourself a VIP room for relatively cheap by comparison to what it would normally cost to get a nice private room at Sentis for the evening.
All right. Cool. That was my plan.
All right. Anyone else have any other plans? I know John has something, but he just stepped away.
After getting a full night's rest, Eamon would want to go shopping for some body armor because somebody said werewolves.
All right.
And so he's scared.
Who's what?
Eamon's shopping for body armor because somebody said werewolves and he's nervous.
So how do you want to attempt to procure this body armor?
If he's made any black market contacts or can find somebody who basically sells stuff off the back of a truck, more or less, that's kind of where he'd probably be headed.
So you are basically a month new here. I don't think you've really had time to make real black market contacts unless you would like to try and rely on your contacts with the Malleus Maleficarum.
If he doesn't have any access that way, then he would probably just go to his Malleus contact and be like, "What's good, lads?"
All right. Roll me. Combine your professional training and your conspiracy status and roll me that.
Okay. Let me see if I have something that would basically be that roll. All right. 5 dice. We're rolling intelligence and weaponry because that's a thing.
Yeah.
1 success.
So as you reach out to your contacts within the Malleus, you hear back that at the back of a church, because of course it is,
right.
You'll find another one of your brothers from across the pond, Brother Seamus, and he will see you access to the armory.
See, I knew there was a Seamus.
There's always a Seamus.
There's always a Seamus. It's just not either of us.
All right. So while Sean is probably still asleep, I'm guessing, because he did the lion's share of the drinking last night, tonight is coming.
I've built up a tolerance.
To an extent. He'll grab the van and go meet Brother Seamus.
So
Sorry, that's what's in my. That's I've suddenly remembered what I bought to put in my thunder. Flamethrower shells.
Oh, yay!
That's why it's loaded with shotgun shells and not 45.
I'm sorry. What kind again?
Flamethrower shells.
Of course.
I'm a vampire hunter.
So,
I had one bit of business that I think it may be important to establish at this point.
Yeah, what you got?
When Paul gets back to the hotel, as he's getting out, and he thanks them for the lift, even though he drove, he's going to take one of the coins out of his pocket and stuff it into the cushion of the driver's side car, just as he gets out. And I think, I mean, I can roll for it if anybody would be looking out for it, but I think he's going to try to do it so it looks like it's just when he's reaching into his pocket to check and make sure he's got his keys in his wallet and everything, it kind of falls out.
Mm.
But yeah, one of the coins is stuffed into the cushion.
There's a coin lost in your cushions.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, that's all. I just wanted to establish that before
The next time Sean goes fishing for change, he'll find.
For example, when he's trying to rustle up enough money with everything and change everything to buy body armor.
No, that's Eamon, not me. I've got body armor.
So yeah,
Sorry, yeah.
Oh god damn it, Jeremy, you did this to me.
What'd I do?
You'll see in a minute. You enter into this sort of back parking lot of this large Catholic church that is off one of the major highways.
Oh god.
And you enter the basement as you were instructed to. You go around back and you enter the basement, and sort of greeting you with a Lord be with you, my brother. It's good to see you.
Also with you.
There is this giant of a pale Irishman.
Yes.
With a tall red mohawk.
Seamus the priest.
With a tall red mohawk that sort of stands almost a good 4 or 5 inches off of his head, and just these giant walrus mustache that extends down his chin.
Yes.
All
Brother
bright
Seamus,
red.
I'm glad to see that Troll Slayer oath is still intact.
Nothing's been able to put me down for long. What can I get for you?
Well, it seems that there's a bit of a plague of leeches here, and having something. We're actually set on those. I'm wondering if there's anything that might be able to at least marginally keep claws and fangs out of me softer bits.
Well, what you looking for? You looking for something you can hide? You looking for something that's going to stand out there?
Let's keep it lower profile for the time being, at least.
I like how all of the Malleus Maleficarum are Irish or Scottish now.
Oh, yeah.
All the ones in this area.
Till the end of time.
That's racist.
Well, I can get you a flak jacket. I can get you a bulletproof vest.
Vest would honestly probably be best for starters.
Let me see what I've got here. Go ahead and roll me your resources.
Oh, God. Can I spend willpower?
Sure. We'll say.
Okay. I think about money really hard.
How do you spend money? How do you spend willpower?
In my mind, spending willpower isn't just your personal attempting to preserve. It's also you attempting to spend your luck and fate's fortune to try and make things go your way.
All right, that's 5 dice again. 2 successes.
I will say that 2 successes is just enough, because in this particular case, you wouldn't actually be spending your money. This would be your favor with the Malleus, basically.
Your requisition, basically, yeah.
Ish. With 2 successes, Yeah, I've got one. Yeah, I've got a bulletproof vest that probably suits you. It's barely been used.
Barely is better than heavily.
Sort of provides you with this very heavy weighted vest that it's a bulletproof vest. It's Kevlar.
Sweet. Well, that'll at least keep most of the internal organs protected. And is there anything the Maleficarum are in need of that we should be keeping our eyes out for?
I mean, I don't suppose you've got any blood of the saint on your hands, but
No, not yet. Seamus, you've been rounding about the area a bit. You ever heard of a thing called goes by the name of the Crimson Veil?
let me see what Seamus knows of mysterious ancient things. He's got a little bit more occult than you do.
Not difficult.
Sounds like something ghostly. Ghost stories, old tales of ancient evils and fell powers that might ruin the world for those who find them, or for make them better for the monsters. I don't. I mean, just to break the name down, sounds like something used to hide something, but I couldn't tell you much.
Yeah, no, thinking it was something like a bloodstained shroud or something. But all right, well, if you hear anything about it, send the info our way if you would.
Right. If you find any silver,
any particular type, or just wrought silver of any dimensions?
Mostly just any kind of silver. I can, if it's not pure enough, I can hack it down to its base materials and melt it. But
all right,
silver bullets are in high demand right now.
Hi, that tracks with what we've been hearing as well. All right, well, if I find any, I'll put in a donation.
The church always appreciates,
and we appreciate them. Well, best of luck to you, and hopefully I'll be back and still in one piece.
And anyone else had anything in particular? Yeah. I know, John, you did.
Yep. I want to put in a request. I want to call in a request to the Vatican Library to
Airstrike.
the Malleus Maleficarum within the Vatican Library for any information they can find on the Crimson Veil as some sort of artifact of power that vampires might be.
They tell you that they'll get on it, but it will take some time to comb the archives.
Yep.
So you might not hear back for a couple of days.
That's fine. I just wanted to go ahead and get that rolling.
All right. Anyone else have anything in particular before evening of meeting at the bar?
Not for this week. Not for today.
Mm-hmm.
There will be around looking for information about Crimson Veil later.
The only other thing would be that I'm guessing the van is probably about 2 yards by 4 yards.
Probably.
In terms of square footage. He's going to try and conduct a protection of St. Agrippina on it.
I was going to say, yes, one fireball will hit everything inside.
Yes, 100%. Absolutely.
Agrippina or Agrippina?
You can probably pronounce it either way.
All right, go ahead and make me that resolve and benedictions roll.
Okay, so it's an extended one. So basically I spend a willpower and just roll as many as I need in order to get 8 successes, I think.
Number of successes equal to the number of square yards the blessing protection encompasses.
Okay. So if it's 2 by 4, that'd be 8.
That'd be 8.
Okay. Cool. because there's not an easy way to do this, I'm going to be doing resolve and weaponry because ratings. Okay. So first minute, I get 1. Second minute, 2. Third minute, I'm up to 5. Minute 4, 6, 7. Minute 5. All right. So 5 minutes of chanting, and I've got the van warded. Again, and it's just the general against all monsters, pretty much.
So,
That doesn't mess with my coin, right?
nah.
Wait, isn't that supposed to be your benediction?
Yeah, but I can't click on my benediction and get a dice pool, I don't think.
You can set up a dice pool on page 2.
That's right, I can. I should do that.
Because I have a thing I'm doing when we all get together, which I've already set up on that.
So yeah, the aura of the protection will subtract from the presence of any affected monster that seeks to enter the area.
Okay. Which should, so basically they'll all be at a -3 because that's my benediction rating, right?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
If their presence would be reduced to 0, it cannot enter. Otherwise, it can enter, but all of its, like, if it's nearby, then it suffers that penalty to its presence. If it's like anywhere near it, but if it tries to enter the area, then all of its power attributes, strength, intelligence, and presence, will be reduced by the strength of the blessing.
Nice. Nope. Cool. All right.
And it has a strength equal to your benediction rating,
which is 3.
Okay.
We have the holiest of church vans.
I think just for completeness' sake, Paul in his hotel room, after he gets dropped off, he goes upstairs, sits down in a chair, takes a coin out of his pocket that's very similar to the one that he left in the van, runs it over the back of his knuckles, and then puts it over his good eye and sits back and sort of closes his eyes for a while.
And through that lens, you see all of the various one-eyed kings that you've scattered, and you can sort of change your focus to each of them individually. And the one that you have scattered in the van, you see Eamon sort of maneuvering around the inside of the van with a censer, just sort of swaying it and burning holy incense as he mutters prayers under his breath.
Okay. And I can watch the interaction with Seamus as well, right?
But that one happens in the basement of the church, right?
Yeah, that one was nowhere near the the king.
So I just see him go to the church and then go away and leave.
Yeah.
And then when everybody is sort of settled into their, because you come back to do the benediction on the van, right?
Yeah, I would be doing that back at Our Lady of Lords, probably wherever we have it parked.
Okay. And then once you hop out, he will take the coin off his eye and settle back and open up his phone, and he pops it open and dials a number and calls it, and rings for a while, and he says, hey sweetheart, yeah, it's me. Yep.
Yes.
Yeah, it's Papa. Yes. Oh, no, I will, don't worry, I'll bring you back something really nice. Yep, trip's going just fine. And he settles back on the bed, and I'll spend a point of willpower to put the coin over my eye so that when I wake up, the other one is there. But he'll settle back on the bed and is just chatting with his kids on his phone.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the rest of his day.
All right.
Get some sleep after that.
So, as the day winds on, you all attend to your various business. And you all gather and meet up outside of Senti's, off the side of 78.
Before we go in, I need all of you to come over here for a moment.
Oh, y'all, the rest of us are going to like this.
Okay.
Everyone hold hands. It'll only take a few seconds.
Kumbaya.
I don't
shut the
start
fuck up,
with
brother.
holding hands for the record, but fine.
Look with favor on these offerings and accept them as you once accepted the gift of your servant Abel. I start repeating over and over again as I activate True Sight of Saint Abel, there are 5 of us, or 6 of us with Jonas Orion if he's there with us. I need 6 successes. Yes, okay.
That's actually a good point. Is Jonas with us?
Yeah, we'll say he is right now.
So
Okay.
it's successes, so it's an extended roll. Every roll is 1 round of actions, so every roll is 1 prayer, basically. 2 successes, 4 successes, 5 successes. Okay, so I repeat the prayer 6 times. I repeat the prayer 4 times.
4 times.
You are now all under the effects of the Sight of Saint Abel, the True Sight of Saint Abel. You can, for the remainder of this scene, you can all roll Resolve plus.
You have to allocate a number of successes to each individual, basically.
Yeah. So
you have 1 extra to give to somebody.
Resolve plus 1. We'll give that extra 1 to Nina. So Resolve plus 1, except for Nina, who gets Resolve plus 2. And basically that lets you see the true form of monsters.
Yeah, if you roll that Resolve plus the successes allocated and you get a success, you can see monsters for what they are. If you see a vampire, you know it is one of the spiteful dead. If you see a werewolf, even in its human state, you sense the feral and protean nature of the thing.
In addition, so long as this is an effect, monstrous masking effects don't affect you. So
you see through the mask, you are not affected by delirium of seeing a werewolf's true form, etc., etc., etc.
Yep.
All right.
That'll help us all if we need to pinpoint what we're looking for in there.
Okay. This is a recon, right?
Yes.
Hi.
All right.
I've only got the 1 blade on me right now, and I'm not bringing it out unless something jumps me first.
Same. The rifles in the van.
That's good.
It's hard to take that into a club.
Yeah. Yeah, they tend to have issues when you bring high-powered rifles into clubs. I can't imagine why.
I can't either.
Actually, it's shockingly easy to do it down here. Especially if there's a convention going on.
Oh yeah.
People barely look at you.
That's fair.
Like, oh yeah. Well, I mean, when you're one of, 100,000 other motherfuckers who are dragging high-powered firearms around.
They don't, however, tend to mind too much about patting my hip where the thunder is.
Wouldn't be able to get away with that straight back home. I tell you that.
Nope.
Yep, we live in a glorious, glorious, glorious land. Can we move on?
It's very useful.
I'm sorry. I just the line patting my hip where the thunder is. It sounds like a Shakira lyric.
Not my hip where the thunder is. Anyway. It's the thunder down under, regardless.
That really is a good Shakira cover band name.
Oh man. So you enter right as one of the DJs is speaking over the speaker system. And you hear a feminine, almost melodic voice sort of say over the speakers, "All right, everyone. We've had a lot of different music playing today, but of course, we know where we're at. We know where we come from, and it's time to pay a little bit of homage to our down-home roots." And right as you enter this bar, The Devil Went Down to Georgia starts playing. And that is where we're going to end for the week.
Hold on this fiddle. Say goodbye, everybody.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Goodbye.